Hi, and welcome to the Wednesday Word. Reporters and city officials gathered at a Chicago railroad station one afternoon in 1953. The person they were meeting was the 1952 Nobel Peace Prize winner. A few minutes after the train came to a stop, a giant of a man, 6 feet 4 inches with bushy hair and a large mustache, stepped from the train. Cameras flashed. City officials approached him with hands outstretched. Various people began telling him how honored they were to meet him. The man politely thanked them and then, looking over their heads, asked if he could be excused for a moment. He quickly walked through the crowd until he reached the side of an elderly woman who was struggling with 2 large suitcases. He picked up the bags and with a smile escorted the woman to a bus. After helping her aboard, he wished her a safe journey. As he returned to the greeting party, he apologized, sorry to have kept you waiting. The man was Dr. Albert Schweitzer, the famous missionary doctor who had spent his life helping the poor in Africa. In response to Schweitzer's action, one member of the reception committee said with great admiration to the reporter standing next to him, "That's the first time I ever saw a sermon walking." That reminds me of the verse from James chapter 1, verses 22 to 24. In the Message, it says, "Don't fool yourself into thinking that you are a listener when you are anything but, letting the word go in one ear and out the other. Act on what you hear. Those who hear and don't act are like those who glance in the mirror, walk away, and 2 minutes later have no idea who they are or what they look like." So we can read the Word, we can study the Word, and we can even preach the Word. But if we don't live the Word, we are letting the Word go in one ear and out the other. Think about how crazy that is. So say a person looks intently at himself in the mirror and examines his face and says, "Uh-oh, I'm seeing a couple more wrinkles here. And where did all these chins come from? The bags under my eyes are so big I'll probably have to pay extra on the airline." Now that was intense. But a couple minutes later, he couldn't even pick himself out of a police lineup. How quickly we forget. In Michael Jackson's song, "Man in the Mirror," he says he is all nice and warm in his favorite coat and he passes the kids on the street with not enough to eat. He talks about a selfish kind of love and pretends not to see. So the song suggests we begin with the person we see in the mirror. It says if we want to make the world a better place, to look to ourselves. Which reminds me of another song by Matthew West. He talks about waking up in the morning and seeing a world full of trouble and wondering, how did we get so far down? So he turns his eyes to heaven and said, "God, why don't you do something?" And God answered him and said, "I did. I created you." Yep, it is up to us, folks. We are here to make a difference. You hear this a lot, but we truly are his hands and feet in this world. When we see someone hungry, we need to feed them. When we see someone who is sick, we need to care for them. And when we see someone sleeping on a doorstep, we need to find a way to house them. Truly, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. When people see us, let them also say, "I just saw a sermon walking." Have a fruitful week.